Good evening and welcome to the monthly board meeting of the Dallas Independent School District Board of Trustees. Please stand and join us for a moment of silence and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance and the salute to the Texas flag. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Trustees present, starting on your left and my right, are Trustees Audrey Pinkerton, Trustee Lou Blackburn, Trustee Joyce Foreman, Trustee Dan Mitchke. On my left, your right, Trustee Justin Henry and Trustee Dustin Marshall. Justin Henry, Dustin Marshall. And we're joined by the Superintendent of Schools. Si hay alguien que necesita los servicios de un intérprete, aquí el joven o la señorita les puede ayudar con el equipo. Gracias. At this time, I would like to recognize any public or elected officials. Trustees, do we see any public officials that need to be recognized? If not, we are going to move on to item 2, the presentation of board recognitions. Ms. Proctor, would you please read the recognitions?
Good evening. Superintendent Hinojosa, Trustee Mitchke, Principal Guribe, Jeff Marks, and Oswaldo Avaringa, please come forward. The board is honored to present certificates of recognition to the Eagle Droids robotics team of Casa View Elementary. Team members, please come forward as your name is called. Alessandra Adame, Mari Corman Capasano, Hector Guzman, America Hernandez, Eddie Lopez, Alan Martinez, Nicholas Pacheco, Alexander Rodriguez, Hector Calvillo, Ophelia Aguila, Christian Tovar, Anthony Rodriguez, Evelette Valdez, Allison Madrano, Coach Maricina Calvillo, Coach Hernan Romero, and supporting coach Roberto Correa. The Eagle Droids of Casa View Elementary won the Teamwork Champion Award at the U.S. Open National VEX IQ Robotics Championship, held in Iowa, April 1st through 3rd. The Teamwork Champion Award is presented to the two-team alliance that earned the highest score in the Teamwork Challenge finals matches. Congratulations, Casa View Eagle Droids. Superintendent Hinojosa, please remain standing. Trustee Pinkerton and Principal Claudia Vega, please come forward. The board is honored to present certificates of recognition to the Congress team of Sunset High School. Team members, please come forward as your name is called. Lauren Diaz, Memphis Mitchell, Elihu Mora, Julian Navajas. The Congress team of Sunset High School won the 33rd Congressional District App Challenge, the SCAPE app. Students created a gaming app where users can destroy enemies and collect coins on their way to each level. Students have been invited to Washington, D.C. next month to showcase their app to members of Congress and the tech community. More than 220 members of the U.S. House of Representatives held a Congressional App Challenge. The Congressional App Challenge aims to engage students in computer science. Over 4 months, more than 5,000 students coded original apps as part of the district-wide competitions hosted by their members of Congress. Congratulations, Congress team. Superintendent Hinojosa, please remain standing. Trustee Flores, Assistant Principal Juliet Hernandez, Coach Tamisha Connaughton, and Aaron Davila, please come forward. The board is honored to present certificates of recognition to Coach Tamisha Connaughton and Aaron Davila. On Friday, January 18, 2019, a 7th grade student at Dealey Montessori collapsed during PE class. With the quick actions of Coach Tamisha Connaughton and Aaron Davila, 911 was called and CPR was administered. The student's mother was told the school staff saved her daughter's life by keeping blood flowing and oxygen to her brain. The doctors assured the student she could return to her normal life and do the things she did before, including sports. Coach Connaughton and Ms. Davila, thank you for your heroic actions. This concludes our recognitions.
So the students want to go ahead. We'll pause for a couple minutes so they don't have to sit here and listen through all the speakers and then through the whole board meeting, unless they really want to stay. I saw some Boy Scouts here, but we'll give you guys a couple minutes and then we'll start with the speakers. Okay. Our agenda now calls for the public forum segment of our meeting. We will begin with speakers to agenda items, followed by speakers to non-agenda items. To ensure that this meeting is held in an orderly manner, I'm asking speakers to please refrain from using individual names and to address the board and not individual trustees. Ms. Gully, will you please call the names of the speakers?
Yes. Speakers, you will have 3 minutes to speak. When you arrive at the microphone, please state your name and address. Our first speaker is Bill Betson, followed by Rena Honey.
Howdy, Bill Betson, 6717 Cliffwood, Dallas, Texas. It's an honor to appear before you again. This testimony is also posted online at dallasisd.us. And it has more information there that you can't cover in 3 minutes. Almost a month ago, the following conflict of interest complaint was filed by 30 people against Dallas ISD. The complaint was sent to every board member and Dr. Hinojosa. It included 5 pages and 6 signatures on each page. Each page reads as follows. We, the undersigned, hereby file a complaint against the Dallas ISD Board of Trustees for allowing conflicts of interest to continue existing undocumented on the DISD Board of Trustees. On page 5 of the Dallas ISD Handbook on Ethics and Integrity, the first item is avoid conflicts of interest. A conflict of interest exists when a person has a position of trust that requires him to make decisions for the district and also has interests or obligations with another person, company, or group that may interfere with his exercise of good judgment, and which the person is morally obligated to either avoid or openly acknowledge. How is being a DISD trustee while also in a board or administrative position in another ISD or charter and actively competing with Dallas ISD for the same students in today's open enrollment environment not a conflict of interest demanding, at a minimum, transparency? We ask you to resolve these conflicts and advise the public of your actions taken. The 6 pages of signatures followed the last sentence on each page. Since no official response has been received from this complaint filed a month ago, it was refiled today along with the first 30 signatures and an additional 62 signatures. It was emailed today to all trustees and Dr. Hinojosa. It is now a complaint filed by 92 people. We are now specifically asking that this item be placed on the board agenda for the meeting in May so as to be discussed in public. The public must know how DISD trustees plan to handle these obvious ongoing conflicts of interest. If any trustee thinks they should be held to a lower standard than the DISD employees who serve under the DISD Handbook on Ethics and Integrity, it is requested that those trustees so state in public in a recorded board meeting. This testimony and links to additional data is at dallasisd.us. Thank you.
Rena Honey, followed by Bailey Francis.
Good evening, President Flores, trustees, and Superintendent Hinojosa. Glad you made it back from Austin today. I'm Rena Honey, President of Alliance AFT, Local 2260, 334 Center Street in Dallas. I'm speaking on Agenda Item 7.27, consider and take possible action to approve an extension of the agreement through September 30th, 2020 with Cornerstone On Demand, Inc., for an electronic talent management system. 3 years ago, the district entered into an agreement with Cornerstone On Demand, Inc., the company producing the software for one of the evaluation systems used in the district, mainly for the support staff employees. Tonight, the administration is asking you to extend that contract through September 30th, 2020. In visiting with employees about this system, many questions and concerns surfaced that I wanted to bring to your attention. At the onset of using this program, training sessions were scheduled for the employees to attend so they could access, use, and understand the evaluation process and their ratings. Those trainings were canceled because of there were issues that arose. Now, many say they have never been trained at all on the system, so they experience difficulty in trying to use it. A number of employees do not have adequate computer skills to be able to get information they need or are looking for. In addition, many employees don't have a computer at home to become familiar with working on the device. So there are 3 questions that I would like for you to consider. Thank you. Before casting your vote this evening. What kind of research has been presented to show proven results for this software? Is this system actually doing what it was purchased for consistently? How do we know this system is helping to improve employee performance? Thank you for your consideration and the opportunity to share these thoughts with you.
Bailey Francis, followed by Jonathan Cateras. Bailey Francis.
Hello and good afternoon. My name is Bailey Francis and I live at 1326 Blackstone, Cedar Hill, Texas, and I'm from Rosemont International Language Preparatory Middle School. I'm here to speak about how we've been promised $35 million and we have been given $24 million. We are grateful for the amount you have given us today, but here are some reasons you should be giving us the promised amount. First, I believe the students and teachers and portables should be giving real classrooms for safety purposes and a better learning experience. The students and teachers in the portables should not have to run through the danger of a tornado or any dangerous weather to get to safe shelter. Our middle school building has been built in 1987 for kindergartners, and how do you expect us middle school students to fit in the hallway during a tornado or any emergency weather experience? Our classrooms are so cramped that some days our students have to sit outside just to finish their work. During passing periods, many students have been shoved and pushed from how many students come through their classroom just to get through their classes. I think we need lockers because many students have had their projects thrown away and getting ruined, and we should not have to carry those heavy backpacks and books every single day, especially with our A and B day schedules. For health purposes, we need a new school building. Our school building is only a hallway, and we have found mold in one of the classrooms, and that can cause many severe health issues for students and staff. Our HVAC has stopped working many times, and our electricity unit has flooded and left us students working in the dark for 2 days straight with no HVAC and water. And our teachers and administration have had to buy water for us students out of their own money. For a better educational experience, I believe we need a new computer lab and new students. Our new computers, our Chromebooks are missing keys and constantly stop working. I believe we should have a science lab to make a better learning experience for our students. With the fine arts program, many of our Rosemont students have been constantly getting accepted into Booker T. Washington High School and other collegiate programs. Our dance room is extremely small and have horrible floors and make us dancers trip and fall on the cracks in the floor. We have no space to dance at all. Our art students have minimal supplies to make their wonderful art pieces for our school. Our choir students have found insects and a dead lizard in their portables. Our orchestra students need bigger space and more instruments. We need a bigger gymnasium for our students to have a better learning with the physical education. Our track students should be able to have a track field to run and train in. And while you're taking our reasons into consideration, I think you should think about how you would feel if your child had to deal with this every single day. And thank you for your time to listen to a concerned Rosemont student.
Jonathan Kateras, followed by Leonard Poses.
Jonathan Contreras is not here today.
Leonard Poses, followed by Naomi Gonzalez.
Hola, mi nombre es Leonard Posas. Vivo en 608 Stephen Village, Dr. Dallas, Texas, 75208, apartment 216. Yo soy un estudiante de Rosemont Middle School. La escuela necesita los $35 millones que se nos fue prometido. Si hay un huracán o tornado, ¿a dónde vamos? No podemos ir a ningún lugar. En las clases, las sillas son muy chiquitas, los escritorios están muy bajos, no tenemos espacio propio. No se puede caminar de las tantas personas en las clases. Es un pasillo. En caso de emergencias, ¿a dónde vamos? El dinero puede beneficiar los especiales como baile y orquesta. Es muy chiquito y hay muchas personas. Necesitamos el dinero para comprar disfraces para el baile, instrumentos para el equipo de orquesta, un baño para el gimnasio. Necesitamos una pista para los corredores de track como yo. Un baño y vestuarios en el gimnasio. Se necesita el espacio suficiente. Como los portables no son ni clases reales. En caso de emergencia, ¿a dónde van? Y el pasillo de middle school es un pasillo apenas si es mejor de un portable. Necesitamos el dinero para un auditorio para el teatro con coreografías y baile. Si Rosemont Middle School prepara estudiantes para Booker T. Washington, entonces Rosemont Middle School debe mirarse como Booker T. Washington. Y el pasillo fue instalado en 1987 para niños de kinder. Y somos estudiantes de la secundaria Rosemont Middle School felices. Hi, my name is Leonard Posas. I live in 608 Stephen Village, Dr. Dallas, Texas, 75208, apartment 216. I'm a student at Rosemont Middle School. The school needs the $35 million that we were promised. If there's a hurricane or a tornado, where do we go? We can't go to any place to hide. In the classes, the chairs are too low, the desks are too low for people who are tall. We don't have a space of our own. We can't even walk of how many people are cramped in the classes. The hallway, in case of the emergency, where do we go? The money can benefit the specials like dance and orchestra. It's too small for how many people there is. The money can buy like costumes for dance rooms for the dancers, instruments for orchestra, and a bathroom for the gymnasium. We need a track for the track runners like me, a bathroom and some lockers in the gymnasium to change, and we should need some space for our own, like in the portables.
Thank you, Leonard. Your time has expired. Naomi Gonzalez, followed by Michaela Harris.
I need students not to give their address.
Okay, students, please do not give your address.
Hola, mi nombre es Naomi Gonzalez, and I'm here to tell you why I think Rosemont Middle School needs more recognition. Our school has been here since 1987, so that gives you a thought of how old our school is. And we were promised $35 million, and we are only getting $20 million right now. Here are some reasons why we need the money we were promised. Rosemont needs better security. Our school is far from beyond safe from outsiders. If there were ever to be a lockdown, we would have nowhere to go. All we have is a corner of our classrooms and a lock to our door. Some teachers don't even have locks to their rooms. People who are in portables are worse at risk because they are outside and they are easier to get to, and parents would rather have their kids safe than knowing they're not safe. We also need our building to be connected in case of an emergency. We would have to run outside to get to a safe place. Our school has minimal equipment. We are always borrowing tablets or computers from other classes, and that takes more time out of our class because we have to figure out what computer goes where. So it would be better if all classrooms had at least enough for the whole class so we would not have to bug other rooms. There are some things we need to upgrade. For example, our classrooms are out of date. Going back to equipment, we need better technology in our rooms. We also need better water from our water fountains so we can at least get a nice cold drink of water when the AC goes out. And we also need a better AC because it gets too hot to the point where we have to go outside and work. We also need bigger classrooms so everyone won't be so crammed and pushed together. This is something I know we need. It's an auditorium. We don't own an auditorium in Rosemont Middle School. The only place closest is a couple of benches outside that doesn't even hold all of middle school and elementary. A couple blocks of wood on the floor for a stage. Now, could you even call that an auditorium? What I'm trying to say is Rosemont consistently prepares students who are accepted to their dream school. The fine arts space deserves to be a suitable practice space with an auditorium, bigger art room, a kiln room, a bigger dance room, a bigger music, choir, and orchestra room, and a bigger gymnasium. Also, more restroom stalls. My name is Naomi Gonzalez, and our school needs the money it was promised. Please put this in consideration, and thank you for your time.
Michaela Harris, followed by Carolina Hernandez.
Good evening. My name is Michaela Harris, and I have been at Rosemont since kindergarten. I believe that Rosemont is a great school where the whole child is educated. I have an understanding that Rosemont was promised $35 million for our school and have only received $24 million. I can say that our school is truly grateful for the promise of this money, but there are reasons why we need all of it. The first reason why we need the money is for the building in general. Our school was made in 1987 and in need of repairs and updates. We can use this money for our restrooms, water fountains, and maybe even a new cafeteria. The restroom needs at least one more stall. The water fountains are never cold, and I'm sure as a fellow Bing, you would enjoy cold water on a hot day. Which brings mind to the AC, which does not work properly on many occasions. Also, some of the cafeteria chairs are broken and should be fixed, and they are too close together. The next reason why the school needs the money is to update computers and classroom spaces. We need to update our computers because most of our Chromebooks have missing keys, and the computers in the middle school are out of date. Our computer lab also needs to be updated too. We can also use the money to create a bigger middle school area because all we have now is basically a hallway. Another reason why we need the money is for our physical education program. Our school has a track team, and I'm sure they would enjoy a nice running path to run on. I also think the gymnasium should have a restroom available for students. The last reason Rosemont needs all of the money is for the fine arts program and specials. Rosemont has an excellent art, choir, dance, and orchestra program. I think the money will help get specials, bigger classrooms, and better instruments for orchestra. Also, it can help get an auditorium for performances and art exhibits. The money will also help get costumes for the dance company and shows. In conclusion, I think that Rosemont really needs and deserves all of the money because Rosemont is a great school and receiving funding will only make it better. ¡Sí se puede!
Hayden Green.
Good afternoon. My name is Carolina Hernandez, and I go to Rosemont School. Rosemont was originally promised $35 million, but only have $24 million. Rosemont Middle School was built in 1987 and was made for kindergartners, but is used for middle schoolers. One reason middle school needs the money is for shelter. Rosemont Middle School does not have a place to go in case of bad weather. The only place to go is a hallway. Another thing is with the HVAC. We have gone 2 days in a row without HVAC and electricity. Another reason we need the money is for the computer lab. There are not enough computers for my class. We always have to borrow tablets from other classes. Also, another reason is for the gymnasium. There is only one water fountain, and it doesn't even give cold water. It is horrible how if we are hot, we can't even get a cold drink of water. Also, the dance room. We need changing rooms instead of waiting in a long line in the bathroom. The dance room has horrible floors with cracks in them. They are slippery. And the final reason is the auditorium. Middle school only has a couple of wood planks and a wood stage. The pre-K through second grade have a better auditorium and a stage, except the stage is a bit small. We just need a little bit more space for spelling bees, dance shows, and a lot more. Thank you for your time, and please take this into consideration.
Hayden Green, followed by Jasmine Darwish.
I'm a student at Rosemont, and we deserve to be safe. You can help us be safe by giving us money to close our walkways. Also, you make the mashed potatoes and spaghetti better, please? Thank you. Miss Pinkerton, you have been a great trustee.
Jasmine Darwish, followed by Alexa Taylor.
Hello. Hi. My name is Jasmine Darwish, and I'm a sophomore in the International Baccalaureate program at Woodrow Wilson High School. My sister, Hannah, is in the autism unit at Woodrow, and I'm here today to talk about how the lack of appropriate support within Dallas ISD Special Education Department has negatively impacted the child along with our entire family. For as long as I can remember, I've seen my mom have to fight relentlessly for my sister to receive the basic education and legally mandated services that she needed. I often wondered how far we would be right now in Hannah's development if we didn't have to fight tooth and nail, hitting a wall at every turn, to obtain legally mandated services. This experience isn't isolated to my family. According to an article in the Dallas Morning News, a consultant who presented an evaluation of Dallas ISD's school system explained where the district is failing. Overworked educators and optional training means that requirements aren't always being met. Various federal and state mandates that dictate how you serve children in special education are being violated. I think it's important now that you know how these violations and the inability to follow mandates without fighting a long and draining process of advocacy has affected me personally. The ARD meetings, emails, phone calls, and paperwork that it takes to get her the services that she is legally entitled to in the first place is endless. It drains all of my mother's time and means that I have to undertake an incredible amount of pressure and responsibility at home, without the support and attention that any child needs. At 14 years old, I had to become a primary caregiver for my extremely disabled sister. I feed her, I dress her, I wash her, I braid her hair, and I administer her medication. When Hannah has a meltdown because she can't find a toy, which is a lot, I'm the one who's on the floor helping her find whatever she lost. As much as my father wasn't here and my mother's entire life has been consumed with fighting for Hannah. And as much as I give my mother's tireless effort credit for the beautiful human being that I get to call my sister, I feel cheated sometimes. I feel like I wonder how I'm taught as a student that rules are meant to be followed without exception. Yet I cannot hold the administration in charge of our education to the same standards. I wonder why it is that we regard the quality of education.
Thank you. Your time has expired.
Thank you.
Alexa Taylor, followed by Adrian Honeycutt.
Hi, my name is Alexa Taylor. I live at 102 South Winnetka in Dallas, Texas. I have two children at Rosemont. I have one in second grade and one in kinder. I've been a part of our SPDM for the past 3 years, also serve on the strategy committee, so I'm an involved, informed parent. I also work full-time in higher education. I voted in the 2015 bond election when my children were 5 and 2. If you look at the website, even now, it says Rosemont Elementary, replacement school, 3rd through 8th grade. That's the major reason I voted for the bond money. It's been concerning that nothing much has happened in the past 4 years, although the plan seems to have changed dramatically since then, and changed again, but I understand that after maybe reviewing some recent architectural plans, $24 million could possibly be allocated. Thank you for listening. We need it to address serious repairs and renovations to the school. Obviously, the upper campus has great need. You've heard from these wonderful students, from extensive HVAC repairs to structural repairs to new spaces to meet the needs of the 600 or so students housed in the fairly rundown building with no performance space, many portables, undersized facilities, along with poor traffic flow and subpar aesthetic appearance outside and in. All of these needs that were identified in 2015 are still there. They have not fixed themselves. And our students have been impacted all of this time, which I don't like to think about, but it is true. The neighborhood has been changing. Many more families want to attend Rosemont, their neighborhood school. Many of those families also have the means to attend private schools or other more appealing schools who put an effort into the facilities, which induces learning and pride in the school. They will possibly not keep their children at Rosemont with the kind of physical space that we currently have at the upper campus. You want to attract and retain our neighborhood families, take care of the schools we have before starting new initiatives and new programs. Expanding a school instead of repairing an existing school is not acceptable. I suggest you also look back at what the plan was in 2015 and look at any other schools who have been neglected since then. Don't ask for another bond package unless you've managed the last one well and have a clear plan laid out for another one. That's helpful to the community. Please hear the concerned involved families that have written to you all and have shown up here to express their plea to make the right decision, one that's far-reaching and future-oriented. You are trustees voted in to represent me, us, here. Please follow through on the plan with the current needs identified. Thank you for making sure this gem of a school has what it needs to shine, and thank you for your service, and a special thanks to Trustee Pinkerton's advocacy for the past 3 years for District 7.
Adrian Honeycutt, followed by Seychelle Engelhardt.
Hello, I'm Dr. Adrian Honeycutt. I'm at 202 South Winnetka Avenue in Dallas, 75208. I'm a mother of a second grader at Rosemont and plan to have a third grader and a pre-kindergartner in the fall. I'm a psychologist specializing in children and family. My husband and I work full-time, and we continue to be involved in our child's school. I currently serve on SBDM, and I'm chair of the Language Action Committee. Rosemont schools were a part of what drew us to our neighborhood when we moved 5.5 years ago. We moved from West Plano and heard horror stories about Dallas ISD. And despite our friends' constant warnings, we were excited about the educational opportunities of Rosemont. Rosemont schools are a vital part of our community, and we have thus far been pleased with the academic and extracurricular opportunities of Rosemont. In 2015 bond election, the voters decided to replace the upper campus building, which houses 3rd through 5th grade and the 6th through 8th grade middle school. You have heard of the poor conditions of the facility. It's in dire need of HVAC repair, bathroom remodeling to accommodate middle school students. Remember, there are current middle school students my height or taller using restroom facilities for 3rd grade and younger. Multiple portables, holes in the floor, subpar gym facilities without any student restrooms, and the list goes on. You are aware of the health and safety concerns, especially on cold and hot days, yet nothing has been done. These needs were identified in 2015, and we now have 4 more years of students attending a vital neighborhood school with a subpar facility. The voters chose to have the bond money go to Rosemont, and I am here, along with the community, to ask specifically for what was voted upon in 2015. Rosemont schools can continue to be a reason to move into the neighborhood in South Dallas. With extensive renovations, Rosemont Upper Campus facility can match the academic and extracurricular excellence that we as a community have experienced and expect from Rosemont. Please follow through on your plan to place the resources outlined in the 2015 in the Rosemont schools. I also want to say thank you to the board, and specifically Trustee Pinkerton, for her dedication to community schools in District 7. We as parents know that she has fought diligently for our students and their resources, and we will miss her representation going forward. Thank you.
Seychelle Engelhardt, followed by Amy Tawil.
Good evening. My name is Seychelle Engelhardt. I reside at 907 Leatrice Drive in Dallas. And I first want to say a big thank you to Dr. Hinojosa, Chief Elizalde, Mr. Lane, and Trustee Pinkerton for their diligent work in evaluating Rosemont and the upper campus and funding. We moved into the neighborhood in 2012 and now have a kindergartner starting at Rosemont in the fall. I've also served on the SBDM. This will be my second year coming up this fall. And I want to let you know that we voted for the 2015 bond election with the thought in mind that we have a child that will be attending our local prized DISD Rosemont school. Not only that, but we also own 3 other rental properties in the neighborhood whose tax dollars also go to Rosemont Elementary. Now, we have a lot of pride in our school and in our teachers and in our staff, and we want you to know that the lower campus is an exceptional campus. The facilities are fantastic, and when Rosemont students first enter the school, that is the expectation that they have of the education and the facilities that they will receive. Then we move to the upper campus where we have 3rd through 5th and 6th through 8th graders, and that story looks incredibly different. And that's a big reason why I hear, as a young kindergarten parent, a lot of reservations of parents sending their children to upper campus. And we believe that with the proper funding, with that minimum, the $24 million that has been discussed, and a hope that we might even be able to secure more than that we can turn that enthusiasm that we see and the momentum and the education that we see in the kinder through 2nd grade, that we can then turn that into additional momentum and funding that stays within the district for 3rd through 5th and 6th through 8th. We know we've talked about the safety and health concerns we have, the facility concerns. You've heard from the wonderful students of our great school here today. And we want to thank you for your time. Trustee Pinkerton, thank you for your representation. And we appreciate your consideration greatly.
Amy Tawil.
Hi. My name's Amy Tawil. I reside at 1330 Rainbow Drive, 75208. This is a letter from a Rosemont kindergarten student, Nev Lyles. She crafted this letter with her mother's help. Dear trustees, I'm not sure about going to Rosemont Upper Campus after I finish 2 more years at Lower Campus. I've been to the Upper Campus with my mom because she has meetings there and my sister Milla goes there. It's definitely different from Rosemont Lower Campus. I can kind of see why kids want to leave Rosemont when it's time for them to go to that building. It's just not as nice as my Lower Campus. My sister is in 3rd grade and she is leaving. At Upper Campus, you can't just walk in the hallways to your other classes because there are 4 different buildings and 9 portables. I'm not too sure about walking in and out of all those buildings. What if I get stuck outside? What if it's really cold? What if I have to go to the restroom? I went into the restroom at Upper Campus, and I really liked the size of the toilet and the door. I especially liked the height of the water fountain. I'm 3.5 feet tall, so it's perfect for me. But I wonder how those great big middle school students got water. Did they stand on their knees? Were they sitting down? There were also some weird classrooms. It seems like it would be easy to disturb students when they're trying to read or listen to their teacher because you had to walk through their classroom to get out of the other classroom. At my Lower Campus, we have an awesome science lab with sinks and special tables and tools. I'll miss that when I go to Upper Campus. They don't have a lab. I wonder how they do experiments. I think I might like the Upper Campus cafeteria because the stools are just my size. I tried not to giggle when I saw an 8th grade middle school boy sitting on that little bitty stool. Did you know that the classrooms at my Lower Campus are the size of 3 Upper Campus classrooms put together? I thought that was strange because the kids at Upper Campus are so much bigger than me and my friends, but their classrooms are teeny weeny. I wish you could have seen our kindergarten sing-along. The singing was great. We didn't look so good getting on and off the stage. My teacher said we couldn't practice that because Upper Campus students were using the auditorium. Apparently, we have to share our auditorium with them. It's kind of hard to do because they have to walk all the way from their campus to practice and perform at our campus. My teacher says they need it more than we do because we have so many kids getting into Booker T. Washington, and they need to practice dancing more than we need to practice singing. In my classroom, my teacher has pictures of Upper Campus that are really cool. I told her I didn't believe that was Rosemont. She promised me it was. I asked her why it doesn't look like that anymore. She said that she hoped it will look that way again before I get to Upper Campus. Maybe I'll stay at Rosemont when I move to Upper Campus. My mom said that Rosemont is going to get $24 million or maybe more to fix Upper Campus. I would love that. She said there are a few people I should thank. Dr. Hinojosa, Dr. Elizalde, Mr. Lane, but most of all, I should thank Trustee Pinkerton. She's actually the only one I've ever met before.
Thank you, Mr. Will.
She came to read at my school.
Your time has expired.
Thank you for the $24 million.
LaCarrie Owens, followed by Robert Ceccarelli.
All right, good evening. My name is LaCarrie Owens, and I am the Executive Director of Youth Conversion After School Program. We do have the privilege and honor to provide after-school program services on campus at Rosemont, and we've been there since 2015. We love the campus. When we first started the program, we were only on Lower Campus. We had a big need for the students at Upper Campus to receive services as well. Prior to us receiving the contract to work in the school at Rosemont, the students would walk down from upper campus to lower campus because they did not have the accommodations to accommodate the students. So whether it rained, sleet, or snow, they would walk from upper campus to lower campus. The previous administrator worked out a plan where they could squeeze the after-school program in, and I do really mean squeeze. And so we transitioned to upper campus because the students needed to stay on campus to participate in clubs, to participate in band or orchestra, and that goes together, but whatever club, track, they needed to stay on campus for safety and security reasons. We have a big concern because the students that are in the dance program, that are in our after-school program, have to walk down to lower campus in order to participate on that. We've had to create safety plans to make sure that parents were okay, to make sure that our students reached their destination without any incident or being placed on a list where they were being profiled or attacked. We wanted to make sure that they were safe. So it is a big safety issue and concern. Our after-school program, due to the fact that we were being squeezed in, we had to adapt to accommodations, meaning that we were moved from place to place. We're moved from the cafeteria to classrooms to the library to the gym, wherever we could fit in. We're actually called after-school program on wheels. So that's been a challenge that we've had to deal with, but I've always emphasized with our staff, don't complain, accommodate. Let's make sure we're meeting the needs of the parents and the students. We've had a couple of incidents where we were without water, so we were told to cancel the program immediately or come up with a plan of action. Our plan of action was to escort our students down to lower campus so that they could have water and use the restrooms. We would have to send out mass text messages at the last minute so that our parents would be informed, hey, your student is not on upper campus. We're going with an emergency evacuation plan, and we'll be located at lower campus. We did it. All of the students were safe, but it did come with a great concern. We actually had to receive complaints from parents about pulling their students out of the program because they didn't like that we were placed in a classroom. And the administrator did what she could to fit us in because she was trying to work out a safety plan.
Thank you, Ms. Owens.
Thank you.
Robert Ceccarelli, followed by Kathy Bennett.
I'm not going to be talking about that. Okay, my name is Robert Ceccarelli. I've been here about a year and a half ago. And I'm just concerned, welcome everybody, about the ACT scores again and compared to Houston. ACT scores in Dallas is 16.8. Houston is 21.9. Here we go again as far as trying to get the families back to Dallas. I am sick and tired of hearing about pre-K, and here I see an ad about the candidate for mayor that is on a school board talking about pre-K. Being a mayor, you don't talk about education. You don't want to have to get the mayor involved like Mike Rollins got involved with the charters, do you? So now you're going to get the mayor here who's on the school board going to get involved in your business. It's not allowed. I'm just saying to everybody is, when are you going to start holding the people accountable for these test scores? I'm getting sick and tired of hearing about the pre-K all the time. Every school district is doing it. Every school district. You're going to have to stop spending the money advertising and get those ACT scores up. Listen up, people. Those scores are the worst in the country. The worst. Over 1 million people in the urban district, they are the worst. Houston is so much better. They beat you. They just blow you away. I'm just saying, if you want your students to go to college, you send them to Houston. Because they're better. No, really, listen up. They have higher average ACT scores in the state and in the country. Houston, way higher. Okay? Dallas is way, way, way low. And let me tell you something. I've been doing this for years. The school board knows me except for a couple. They never want to talk about it. They do not want to talk about test scores, except for Mike Miles when he had a PowerPoint presentation. I told him to host about it. Why don't you do that again? Show what you really are. You're scared to talk about those test scores. I know why, because they stink. You know they stink. And I talked to a mayoral candidate, school board member at one of the meetings. I asked the same question about ACT scores, and this person just shrugged his shoulders and stared at me. that want the school board members running for mayor. If I'm not saying the truth, I want this person to interrupt me right now. But I'm just saying to you, you have a couple of people that went to Harvard, you have a couple PhDs. Why don't you talk about what you had to do to get where you're at? Okay? Advertise what you have to do. Get the students motivated. Why you cover it up as information I have to bring up when you never talk about it? Why is that? Because the test scores stink, and because it's very, very embarrassing to this district. Now, you should stop concentrating on pre-K and advertising and worry about the ACT scores. That's what's going to get the families back to Dallas. And not worried about people at 5 years old. I said this at Lincoln High School, and I got a reaction from everybody when I said that. People are not worried about 5 years old.
Ceccarelli.
Get together and get your act. Thank you.
Kathy Bennett, followed by Zara Darwish.
Hello, my name is Kathy Bennett. I live at 1419 King Highway. I am a licensed social worker, and I've been an advocate for children with special needs for more than 20 years. I have been to over 20 school districts in Texas, both large and small. Other districts have some of the same problems that Dallas does in complying with laws to provide free, appropriate public education. However, they address the problems and issues in a completely different way. They routinely try to address the parent's concerns quickly, especially if the parent or I show them that how the law applies, or the deadline that was missed, or services that the child was denied. They look for common ground. They do not always agree with the parents, but they do value the parents' input and will try to right wrongs when they find them. The parents are seen as an important part of the ARD team, and they work to have a consensus. And all the years I've been doing this, DISD is the only district that does the complete opposite. There are denials, cover-ups, postponements, intimidations to the parents and to me as a professional there to act as an advocate for the child. DISD lacks accountability and the mission to serve students and their families. Special education parents are not encouraged to be active in the school, but discouraged. They are not allowed to volunteer in their child's class, unlike parents in general education. I have said to many of my clients, when they continue to be shut out or denied services, can you move? Can you afford private school? Look at charter schools. If you remain in DISD, you will be in an ongoing battle to get the very basic minimal services and cooperation. This is sad to me. I have to admit, in 20 years, not much has changed for the better. I was recently in an ARD for a child with autism who has limited speaking ability. The parents have been using a voice output device at home and in private speech therapy so that he might communicate. When I was at his home, this nonverbal child was able to hold down a conversation using his device. I have provided you an envelope containing the most common form of communication used in the SPED classroom. I challenge you to communicate using these, not easily used to express more than the basic wants. Not easily transferred to daily life. Can you imagine using these at 7-Eleven? Would you prefer these cards or what I have downloaded on my phone with a free app? And if I can, I'm going to let it do the talking.
I'm hungry. When do we go to lunch?
These are the kinds of things kids want to know. And they wanted to ask their teacher. 20 years ago, my son attended an elementary school that many of you are very familiar with in this room. He had a voice output device. The school fought us tooth and nail to use it in the classroom. Before he had this device, we did not think he could read because he could not speak more than 2-word sentences. Once he learned how to use this device, we saw that he was able to read.
Thank you, Ms. Bennett. Zara Darwish, followed by Barry Jacobs.
Good afternoon. My name is Zara Darwish. I am a mother of 2 teenagers, sophomores at Woodrow Wilson High School. I live at 5126 Columbia Avenue. I'm here today to talk about my experience. I've had my daughter, who is in a contained classroom, a TC unit at Woodrow Wilson, and she is what you would call severe, moderate to severe impacted by autism, limited speech, and throughout the 9 years that we've been in this district, I've been given the same advice: get out of DISD, and I refused. I wasn't going to leave my district. I was going to make sure and try and bring changes to my district. When we started in the district, they would ship Hannah multiple feeder patterns away to be able to get the education she needed. When she started junior high, we decided, because she voiced it, that she wanted to go to her local school, which is J.L. Long. We worked on getting contained units there. Now we have 2 of them. Then I approached Dr. Richardson at Woodrow Wilson before he retired, and he accepted to start a unit at Woodrow. Since Dr. Richardson, he resigned the year that he accepted this, and we've gone through 5 different principals. So the shift in all of this, the chaos that has ensued, the lack of leadership has only added to the difficulty in getting the SPED department, Central SPED, to give us the support that we need for that classroom while we were trying to get the leadership that we needed. In that time, my daughter had to miss 6 weeks of school. We had to kick one teacher out for verbally abusing and just stepping on the civil rights of these children who don't really have a voice. And I reached out to the people that I've been working with for years, Dr. Teresa Shattuck, who put a one-on-one with my daughter. And I said, when we first started, we had in-home aids. We had in-home support, which is mandated by the autism supplement. We don't have that anymore. Dr. Shattuck, her excuse is, we don't have anybody in staff that is as knowledgeable in autism as you are, Zara Darwish. I find that absurd. If you don't have that staff, I still need the support. If my teacher is not being able to get these problems under hand, and I have the problems in the home, they are making life impossible. And we are looking now into putting her into an institution. She will be in a more restrictive environment.
Followed by Elizabeth Garcia.
Please take consideration of this.
Barry Jacobs. Elizabeth Garcia. Carrie Garsht, followed by Marisol Gonzalez.
Hi, my name is Carrie Garst. I live at 5024 Worth Street in Dallas. In addition to being a parent of 3 children, all in DISD, one with special needs, I'm also a literacy specialist with a degree in education from Texas A&M University. Special education exists because general education does not meet all students' needs. Once a student in DISD goes through testing to identify their particular challenges and receive a label that determines how the instruction is supposed to be delivered, the appropriate instruction still does not happen because, as I heard over and over from the district, that the needs of the district are too large. The problem with this is that it violates the Individuals with Disabilities in Education Act. IDA requires districts to find a way to make it happen for each and every student who needs special education. The cap that TEA put on districts was extremely damaging to students like my son, who were not learning in the general education setting and were unable to access the individualized learning that should have been happening in special education. The cap is finally gone, and now is the time for DISD to make it right. The impact of this is that students like my son did not receive what they need and federal law requires. Therefore, they cannot achieve the basic outcomes that we all expect of students in public education. My son's campus lacked access to specialized curricular training and resources. The special education teacher on many of the campuses in the district is doing the work of a special education coordinator as well as teaching students. Due to these factors, my son's educational goals were not written according to his needs and deficits like it's supposed to happen. Instead, they were written so low that he would show growth no matter the instruction that was delivered. This is not what the law requires, and we should expect better than this from our special education program. I believe that special education employees go into special ed because they want to make a difference, but DISD needs to equip their employees to do what the federal law requires them to do. They cannot adequately provide the specialized services without someone who can take the burden from these teachers that are on each of the campuses. They cannot adequately provide the specialized services on each campus without having access to things like specialized curriculum, assistive technology, and there's not enough staff members to do the job that the law requires. I'm here to ask the board to turn the recommendations of the Special Education Advisory Group into policy and significantly increase budget allocations for personnel, curriculum, training, and resources. Thank you.
Marisol Gonzalez, followed by Hermenegilda Gonzalez.
Buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Hermenegildo González, vivo por el 646 Elwin Avenue. Pues yo no vengo a hablar mucho, yo vengo a hablar a lo concreto. Hace un mes estuvimos aquí viendo un problema que tuve con mi hijo, con la asistencia en la escuela, en la Comstock School, ¿ok? Vengo porque problemas que han pasado en este mes que pasó no se han resuelto. Hablamos con la directora y dice que el proceso va muy lento. Entonces, dije yo, bueno, ¿hasta cuándo vamos a tener que esperar? Porque el ciclo ya se está acabando. Estoy pidiendo el 1-1, no me lo han podido dar. El niño se me va al tercer piso corriendo, se me sale del salón, no sé por qué. Pero lo único que yo les digo es de que si no pueden con el niño, que me lo manden para mi casa. O que me hablen como lo han hecho siempre. Hoy se me orinó en el pantalón. Nunca había pasado. Nunca había pasado. Entonces, pues me preocupo, señor, ¿puede venir a recoger a su hijo porque se orinó? Ok, vamos por él. Entonces, yo pienso que el maestro no está capacitado para lidiar con nuestros hijos. Yo lo que le pido es de que pongan unos maestros capacitados para nuestros niños especiales. Realmente adopté por llevar un juguete a la escuela, porque creo que el juguete es el maestro para mi hijo. Los maestros adoptaron por tener ese juguete, porque ahí el juguete dice, apachurra, ¿dónde está la jirafa? Y mi niño no habla, pero es muy inteligente. Él va y apachurra. ¿Dónde está el tambor? Él va y apachurra. O sea, ¿tengo maestro o no tengo maestro? Ya no sé ni qué hacer. Tuvimos problemas con lo de golpes, rasguños, que vienen los rasguños de aquí hacia atrás. Dijimos, a ver, problema, quiero que me resuelvan ese problema. Parece que les entra por aquí y les sale por acá. Pues yo quiero saber cuál proceso tengo que llevar a seguir, porque yo creo que me voy a desesperar o no sé, pero todo lo que me han dicho, paso con paso, no es ahorita. En todo este lugar yo no he sabido de una maestra que esté capacitada, porque yo sé que hay maestras que están capacitadas, porque yo he tenido una, y estuvimos trabajando de la mano, y mi hijo ha progresado. Todo lo que progresó en ese momento, que trabajó conmigo, con ella, ha progresado, porque ellos son muy inteligentes. Yo lo garantizo bastante. Señor Hinojosa, déjese un momentito nada más.
Thank
no
you,
les
Mr.
avise.
Gonzalez.
Vaya y visite las escuelas.
Eric Jacobs, followed by Christina Liu.
Hello, my name is Eric Jacobs, and I live at 6725 Bobolink Drive. I am 11 years old and a former Dallas ISD student. I am also type 1 diabetic. As a student with a disability, I need 504 accommodations to assist me at school. I'm here to speak to you about the importance of 504 plans. As a diabetic, I relied heavily on the school nurse and the support of my teachers. My parents wanted everyone on the faculty to know about my disability and to understand it, because for me, it could mean the difference between life and death. My body cannot regulate my blood sugar. Sometimes, when my blood sugar is too high, I find it hard to focus. I develop a headache and can't perform at my best. I would have to see the nurse for a dose of insulin. When my blood sugar is too low, I can faint, fall into a coma, or even die if I don't get sugar. My 504 plan required me to have emergency snacks in every class I visited for this reason. But in practice, very few people at the school knew about my plan. This put me in serious danger. Once, when a carbon monoxide leak made us evacuate the school, no teacher thought to bring sugar just in case I went low. Fortunately, my dad was near and picked me up, but it could have been very bad. The ISD's failure to take 504 plans seriously is one reason my parents moved me to private school. Another is that my school, Lakewood, started this year without a nurse. But I have diabetic friends who are not so lucky. They deal with teachers who ignore their testing accommodations, nurses who will not let them test their blood sugar in class, as the law requires, and many other violations of their 504 plans. Please do not wait until one of my friends dies. Make the teachers and nurses follow the 504 plans. Thank you for your time.
Christina Liu, followed by Richard Sheridan. Christina Liu, Richard Sheridan, followed by Arthur Fleming.
Yes, good evening, Rich Sheridan. Appreciate being here. There are some remaining issues concerning the South Oak Cliff High School's renovation. I'm here to call to the attention of this board that an agreement was broken between DSD with the leaders of the South Oak Cliff High School community. The agreement was to eliminate the use of the existing lead pipe for the school's main water supply. Considering the fact that DSD is spending $52 million to renovate the school, the cost to bypass the lead pipe would have been relatively insignificant. Again, years ago it used to be a handshake agreement. Now you have to have a lawyer present. So during the renovations planning phase, there was a very strong objection to the South Oak Cliff High School community leaders to leaving the students in the school because of the exposure to asbestos. And because of the pressure applied by the community leaders, the students were moved to Village Fair. And by the way, it wound up saving $2 million. So I believe the DSD wanted to save money by leaving the students in the school, putting them at risk of the asbestos, and they wound up, because of the community leaders, and making it more safe for the students, moving them to Village Fair. So bypassing the existing lead water supply line will similarly reduce the health risk of the students. The EPA has set the maximum allowable lead concentration in drinking water at zero. Zero. Why? Lead is an insidious toxin, will accumulate in our bodies, possibly resulting in learning disabilities, lower IQ, mental health problems, neurological problems, hypertension, miscarriages, fertility problems, weakening the immune system. A non-detectable lead test may lead us to believe that there is no lead in the drinking water. That's the limitation of the measuring device. Years ago, there used to be a gas chromatograph. Now we have mass spectrometer. I think, Dr. Flores, you understand what I'm talking about here. We're talking about Avogadro's number. We're talking about small numbers are actually big numbers. In basically a quart of water, there are 1 million molecules of lead. And you can't tell me that down the road, if you've been drinking that for a while, it's not going to affect you as the diseases that I've just mentioned. So, in conclusion, I and the South Oak Cliff High School community leaders, Bradshaw, Arthur Fleming, are asking DSD to stick to your original agreement and bypass the existing potentially harmful lead water supply. Doesn't it make sense if you're spending $52 million on a school and the lead line is there, and by the way, up in Flint, they're spending $100 million to remove the lead, but that was a much more critical situation. Doesn't it make sense to do it now or to do it before the school opens in September to protect the children? Again, what is the future health of South Oak Cliff students worth? How much is it worth? I think it's worth bypassing that lead line. Thank you.
Arthur Fleming, followed by Ronnie Mestis.
Good evening. Arthur Fleming, 822 West Oak Drive, Lancaster, Texas, 75134. Good evening. My name is Arthur Fleming, NAACP current executive committee member and past president. I want to direct my comments based toward the Office of Racial Equality and Responsibility, as far as their responsibility as it relates to the water and DISD. I just want to say, first of all, the water ain't equal. The water ain't equal. The water ain't equal. If the Office of Racial Equality would talk to the community, they would let them know that the water is separate and unequal, and it's poisoning our children. The EPA says that there is no safe level of lead for children to drink, period. Now, we have a current situation now at South Oak Cliff where we're spending over $50 million on a school, and now we're fighting with DISD about because they want to leave the rotten pipes in. And we don't think that's, it's just not good. And so we don't understand why the arrogance, why the no conversation. Why can't you all come and talk to us? And we have an Office of Racial Equality. I was at a meeting last night, and nobody knows what they do. You implemented the plan. You demoted Jamila Thomas, and we don't know why. And, again, I guess you guys feel like you don't have to say anything to us. I'm going to leave you with a little thing from Booker T. Washington in his book From Slavery. He talked about the two ships that were passing the night. One ship had water for a week. They put out their sign, they said, water, water, we need water. The other ship said, cast your buckets where you are. Water, water, we need water, cast your buckets where you are. Water, water, we need water, cast your buckets where you are. They cast their bucket, they was in clean, fresh water all the time. We have cast our water, cast our buckets in DISD, and the water is contaminated. Why don't you all, do something about that? Check the Flint, Michigan case, okay? If you guys don't start to do your job, you could be liable for knowing the water's dirty, and you're not doing anything about it. So what we're going to ask you to do tonight is take it seriously, get us a water plan for all the schools. We don't need more testing. We need you to fix those pipes over at South Oak Cliff. Thank you.
Ronnie Mestis, followed by Reverend Bradshaw.
Good afternoon, everybody. Ronnie Mestis, 3215 Rutt Street, West Dallas, Texas. I'm a lifelong resident, community member of West Dallas. I'm also a resident and community member of District 5. And we've been talking about this racial equity office, which was part of the TRE. And I put my credibility and other people's credibility on getting this racial office of equity started and going in the right direction. So far, we're getting the same thing we got with the bond. A new high school, where's it at? The money that was promised to us, it's gone, or getting there. But back to the racial equity. You have a policy, and that's great. There's something that started. I didn't even know that we had a racial equity committee, so to speak, until just a while ago when I got an email, in which I was going to email you the policies that I think need to be implemented. I'm a 20-year veteran, military, Navy, retired, and know a little bit about policies and how to implement, plans. And the first thing you got to start off with is you have to have somebody that knows how to read that plan, that policy, how to read that map. You don't have that now. And that's number one. Number two, you need to make that transparent, and you need to make it accountable to one person, whoever the lead person is. And I'm not going to say, but we know who it is, and that's what you need. You need a director, a director chief, a chief, or whatever it is, to report directly to one person, not a go-between. You don't need a master. How do they call it? Not a master, but you need a jack of all trades and a master of none. You need a master of that plan, because that's something that has never happened in 100 years or whatever, how long DISD has been here. Nobody knows what they're doing with that plan. So you need to look for somebody that can drive that ship or steer that ship in the right direction. And you need community input. You need a community committee, which, you know, you have a board. I heard there was a board committee. Didn't even know that. And I'm on the SBDM of Pinkston High School. So you need a committee from the community so it don't turn out like the Future Facility Task Force for West Dallas, where we had a representative. We didn't even know who he was until the end. You know, never came but once, I think, to Pinkston. So those are two things. And the first one is director. And the other, you can shift around. And I was going to mail you the plan, but I didn't because of the other email I got. So I'm going to revise my plan or my thoughts and send that to you. And I hope, because we did work hard to get that trade passed, and it got passed because of the Racial Equity Office. And that was the raw meat that was tossed to the community, you know. And we're going the same direction as that bond. And we'll talk about that next time.
Thank you, Mr. Mistis. Reverend Bradshaw, followed by Sharon White Jackson.
First of all, I want to just give a round of applause to all these children here who spoke tonight. They did an awesome job. God bless them. I really feel like we need to pray, but we're at a board meeting. So my name is Reverend Horace Bradshaw, 4245 Huckleberry Circle, Dallas, Texas. I'm concerned, Board of Trustees, with the amount of lead we have in the water at SOC in particular, in all of our DISD schools in general. I believe drinking water has been declared deadly and unsafe for children. I believe those fountains need to be labeled as such because I believe the consumer should have the right to determine whether or not they want to drink contaminated water. Acceptable level, they said acceptable level, but EPA said that there is no level of lead that's safe for children to consume. And so I believe the consumer needs to determine whether or not they want to drink from those fountains. Hypocrisy. I believe the lack of concern and the lack of concern for our children is alarming to me. I wonder what would happen if it was determined that the water at the local animal shelters had lead in the water. We would have protesters all over the place. But we don't have that same concern for the water, the lead in the water for our children. I think those pipes need to be addressed at all of our schools. We need to put them on some kind of schedule that ND, which we have at some of our schools, which non-detect, should be the standard for all of our schools. DISD have 12 schools that has been reported to have elevated level of lead in the water. Woodrow Wilson, I heard y'all speak today, y'all one of those schools. This really looked like genocide. I want to say a worse word, but I won't say it, but it looks like we're killing our children. Retaliation. I've been told that the reason why DISD removed the Parkland Youth and Family Program from South Oak Cliff is because the alumni in the community complaining about wanting clean water for our children. I ask that you ask yourself, would you want your children to drink lead-based water? If not, if this is not true about removing that program in retaliation, what can we do to get that program back at SOC? Because that program is very important to the community. The pipes at SOC was determined that they should have been replaced in 1981. And this is 38 years later. Now, this report was done by Rawls-Reyes Company, a company that was hired by DISD. So you all know that these pipes should have been changed out.
Thank you, Reverend Bradshaw.
Wow.
Sharon Wright Jackson, followed by Jose Perez.
Good evening, everyone. Wake up. Wake up. Wake up, everybody. You know the song. It's Melvin and the Blue Notes. One particular verse says, wake up, everybody. It's time to teach. It's our future. I am excited and enthusiastic about higher education. The Racial Equity Office is a step towards equally preparing our students for higher education. Wake up everybody. It's time to teach a new plan. We have expectations for you to train our teachers on cultural competencies so that they will be able to understand and relate to our students without punitive actions. Wake up, teach a new plan. Make sure that the Racial Equity Office is performing on behalf of our students. When we begin to look at the website with Texas Organizing Project, we did notice within looking at the website, the students aren't identified. How can you help someone that you won't even identify? It's important. It's okay to say black students. It's okay to say students of color. Wake up. Teach a new plan.
Jose Perez, followed by Gerald Britt.
Jose Perez, 2608 Hearthstone Drive, Dallas, Texas, 75234. Good evening. My name is Jose Perez, Superintendent Hinojosa, Dallas ISD staff, and Board of Trustees. I'm here this evening as a board member for the Texas Organizing Project. We're deeply committed to working toward racial equity in Dallas ISD. I'm a community member and care about this because I know how it feels to see decisions made based on my skin color. I went to public schools. At age 16, I dropped out of high school. I was on probation. I owed tickets, which made me ineligible for a driver's license for years. Yes, due to my own actions, but also because of a broken system that allowed students like myself to slip through the cracks at home and at school. Fast forward 7 years later, I'm now in college. I'm obtaining a driver's license. I'm sitting on a board of directors for a nonprofit. And I can't move forward knowing many other students of color are going through the same experiences that I had and struggle with. We need the district to act urgently to address the needs of students sitting in our classrooms today. I asked the district, approve a systematic plan to pursue racial equity with SMART goals tied to the existing policies. Identify target student groups explicitly by race, socioeconomic status, or educational needs, especially for black and brown students. Publicly report the plan and timeline for a systemic transformation plan. 2, establish a chief level position capable of developing the plan above and conduct a search for a qualified racial equity expert to be hired by the beginning of the 2019-20 school year. As well, number 3, as committing to providing ongoing detailed racial equity training by an expert for all staff, trustees, and the community at large. And number 4, create a standing committee established by the board, nominated by the committee, and selected by the Racial Equity Office under qualified leadership. Mr. Superintendent, Board of Trustees, the Texas Organizing Project, and community leaders all across Dallas help pass the TRE based on your promise that racial equity will be a priority. But clearly, your actions say otherwise. We vote, we speak up, and taxpayers foot the bill. We're doing our part, and hopefully y'all can do y'all's part, because inaction is action in itself, and hopefully y'all can get to it. Thank y'all very much.
Gerald Britt, followed by Jonathan Feinstein.
My name is Gerald Britt. I'm Vice President of External Affairs for City Square, a local nonprofit, and I served as the chair of Strong Schools, Strong Dallas, and I'm proud to have provided, along with committed educators and community leaders, a measure of leadership helping to get the tax ratification election passed on last year. However, I am here to point out that none of the efforts to get that vital vote passed this past November were expended simply to avoid DISD's projected fiscal woes, as important as we saw that. Our coalition was clear from the outset that equally important was the issue of equity, bringing those resources to bear to provide black, brown, socioeconomically disadvantaged students with the quality education they deserve and of which they and generations of students have been deprived for decades. Achieving equity is not easy. The lowest hanging fruit, issues such as providing these students with qualified, experienced teachers, upgraded technology and facilities, safe, clean drinking water, are challenges that cannot be resolved easily or quickly. The challenges of facing employees' implicit bias and cultural sensitivity are more difficult still and require a change in culture and time to experience its fruits. But we must begin, and we must begin now. So far, the administration's efforts in this regard have been less than satisfactory. We see virtually no efforts towards a coordinated strategy aimed at the lowest hanging fruit or the more challenging goals of equity. We want you to know that when we ask the citizens of Dallas to vote to raise their taxes so that the district would have more resources and to make equity a reality, this is not what we meant. We are asking for the following: approve a systemic transformation plan to pursue racial equity with SMART goals tied to the existing policy. Identify target student groups explicitly by race, socioeconomic status, or educational needs, explicitly black and brown students. Publicly report the plan and timeline for systemic transformation plan. Establish a chief-level position capable of developing the plan above and conduct a search for a qualified subject matter expert. As part of the plan, commit to providing ongoing racial equity training developed and delivered by an expert for all staff, trustees, and offered to the community. Create a standing committee established by the board, nominated by the community, and selected by the Racial Equity Office under qualified leadership. This is not personal. Ours is not a critique. Ours is a critique and not a criticism directed towards any single individual. Our dissatisfaction is with the entire process, which has so far been inefficient, ineffective, and has substituted random
Britt.
acts of equity for true
Jonathan
march towards
Feinstein,
equity.
followed by Julianne Peterson.
Good evening. My name is Jonathan Feinstein. I live at 2533 Pine Bluff Drive, 75228. Superintendent Hinojosa, DISD Administration, and Board of Trustees. I'm here this evening as part of a diverse, inclusive community group that's deeply committed to working towards racial equity in DISD. I want to give particular credit and recognition to those most directly impacted in District 5 in South Oak Cliff and in West Dallas who have continued to bring urgency to our collective work on this issue. Please know that we're here this evening because we desperately want to participate. We want to contribute. We want to partner with the district to bring truth, healing, and transformative change to the children of our city. I'm a community member and I care about this because I recognize that the stakes are high, as do you, and they're real for the black and brown students in our classrooms today, as well as for their families, teachers, and communities. I recognize the barriers they face are deeply entrenched in our society and our institutions, and that reversing decades, if not centuries, of oppression will not happen overnight. I also recognize that DISD is not alone in this journey. Every single institution, organization, and individual must undertake the hard, unending work to rid itself of bias and to redesign systems to achieve more equitable outcomes. That's true of the organization I work for and for myself personally. I want to acknowledge the board for passing the policy last year and the administration for establishing the office to help guide the district through its implementation. But there's simply no time to waste if we're serious about setting a solid foundation upon which to address the needs of the black and brown kids in our classrooms today. So again, along with others, I ask the district approve and make a systemic transformation plan to pursue equity with SMART goals tied to the policy. The plan has to explicitly identify and name student groups where disparities exist. For example, we have to tackle head-on the fact that the black-white gap in third grade reading has been getting wider over the past 6 years, despite all the other progress the district has made. Number two, we talked about establishing a chief-level position capable of developing that plan and conducting a search for a qualified expert to lead that work. Every single chief in the district holds years, if not decades, of experience and expertise in their area, whether that's teaching and learning, school leadership, etc. The same must be true for racial equity, and this lens is needed at the decision-making table while all chiefs strengthen their own racial equity muscle. 3, again, as part of the plan, commit to provide ongoing equity training developed and delivered by an expert. This board has already approved a budget and a set of vendors, yet we've heard that the trainings are being led by staff. While that may be an aspirational goal, and I would love to see that day, deep knowledge and facilitation experience is absolutely critical. Lastly, create a standing committee established by the board, nominated by the community, and selected by the Racial Equity Office.
Your time has expired.
Thank you for your time.
Our last speaker is Julianne Peterson. Julianne Peterson. This concludes our speakers.
So do you have a point of information?
No, it's just doing recognition. Earlier, I wanted to recognize one of our vendors that gave scholarships last night, and I'm trying to see if she's here. Oh, there she is. So I just want to take this real quick, 1 minute, if you don't mind.
You don't have to, you need to do a point of information.
Okay, point of information. Point of
It's
privilege.
his last meeting.
But last night I was at the recognition program for Education is Freedom. And a month or so ago, we had one of our vendors, one of our program managers that had offered to give scholarships. And Dequita Beneer program management firm, Eve, if you don't mind coming up, they had called me earlier and asked how could they give scholarship monies away. They end up taking it through Education is Freedom, and last night they gave out more than $15,000 in scholarships to our students. And primarily from South Oak Cliff and Carter, where you guys have a major program management oversight for right now. So, E. Williams, I want to thank you and your partners for doing what you do on a daily basis with the school bond program, but also what you've done beyond that in helping some of our students get to college. I appreciate all you've done. Thank you.
Oh, wow. This is like a real recognition, like a real.
That's it.
Awesome. Okay. Very good. So the board will now retire to closed session as authorized by the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code Section 551.001 et sec. Concerning any and all purposes permitted by the Act, including but not limited to the following sections and purposes: Texas Government Code Section 551.071 for private consultation with board's attorney, 551.072 discussing purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property, 551.073 discussing negotiated contracts for prospective gifts or donations, 551.074 discussing personnel or to hear complaints against personnel, 551.076 concerning the deployment, specifications for or implementation of security personnel or devices, 551.082 concerning discipline of a public school child or complaint or charge against personnel, 551.03 concerning the standards, guidelines, terms, or conditions the board will follow or will instruct its representatives to follow in consultation with representatives of employee groups, 551.084 excluding witness from a hearing. It is now 7:44, and we'll retire to closed session. We expect to be in closed session for 20 minutes. I just had to do that. Okay, it's 8:30 Apple Standard Time, and we are back in open session. We're out of closed session. So the next item on the agenda, the reports, 4.01 Superintendent's Report, Academic Achievements, Accolades, Events, and Legislative Update. Mr. Superintendent.
Yes, Mr. President, members of the board, very quickly, we had the great Superintendent Scholarship event. 62 seniors from every high school got over $155,000 thanks to the Selenic Scholarship and also the Superintendent's Golf Tournament. So they were recognized a couple of weeks ago. Tomorrow night, we have the second inauguration to the Dallas ISD Athletic Hall of Fame. 9 more legends are being inducted tomorrow night at the Sheraton Hotel. A reminder, this Saturday, we have our opportunity to sign up for summer programs. There's a huge catalog that's been put together for opportunities for our students. And then lastly, legislative update. I was in Austin again today. Things we're now in the middle of the fourth quarter, and it's now as optimistic as I was earlier. I'm not as optimistic anymore. What's happening is House Bill 3 would be very good to Dallas ISD, but it's getting stuck in the Senate. And today they laid out a committee substitute for House Bill 3. We didn't know what was in it. They put the bill out last night. Our team, Dwayne's doing an outstanding job of trying to put estimates together. But until they give us the runs, we really don't know how those things are going to work. My estimation is that they're just trying to get something passed so they can go to conference committee and have something before they adjourn here at the end of May. The art of compromise is going on, but one thing that at least the Senate did put back in was outcomes-based funding and the Educator Excellence Fund, but they have less money, and the $5,000 across the board is still in. So it is just getting very convoluted and very complex, and that's not a good thing when you get towards the end of the session. So we could have sudden death overtime, or we could have current law. But regardless of all that, we're going to give you next month at the board briefing, we're going to give you 3 plans from our best estimate: current law, the impact of House Bill 3, and the impact of the Senate committee substitute. So because you have to adopt the budget in June. And then we couldn't get enough people to have a workshop the next week. So it might be better anyway. So the last Thursday in May, we're going to propose that we have a workshop then. Maybe things will be more clear. We can narrow the options. But I do want to commend our finance department, and because we have been conservative, and we're going to be able to fund a few things because of some conservative estimates that were going to be exceptional items or fiscal notes that we're going to be able to put in the base budget. So we'll be laying all of that out to you in the next 30 days, and then we'll augment it with whatever the legislature comes up. And now the big push, and what was really disappointing to me, is that early on they told us, don't worry about tax caps. That's only going to apply to cities and counties. Well, the cities and counties made a lot of noise, and now we're the ones that got stuck with the tax caps. And so I don't know that will go away. But, for example, you could only garner whatever you gain 2.5% value increase. If our value increase is 9%, we only get 2.5%. And so, but that it was new, that snuck up on us, and in the Senate. It's not in the House version. So a lot of competing interests. We'll keep you posted, and but we'll have a plan regardless, so you can have an organized way to adopt the budget that we recommend to you in the next 2 months.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Superintendent. Oh, I forgot to mention that the board took no action during closed session. So, for the record, we took no action during closed session. Next item on the agenda, Board of Trustee Committee reports. Do we have any Board of Trustee Committee reports? Nope. Okay. Next item, trustee reports from Districts 1 through 9 on community interest to include topics such as 1, expression of thanks, congratulations, or condolence; 2, information regarding holiday schedules; 3, an honorary salutary recognition of public official, public employee, or other citizen, except that a discussion regarding a change in status of a person's public office or public employment is not an honorary or salutary recognition for purposes of the subdivision or for a reminder about an upcoming event organized or sponsored by the governing body. Trustee Pinkerton.
Thank you. This is a report for District 7, and I want to start by congratulating the Molina High School counseling team. They've won a great honor. This is they've been named a model program by the American School Counselor Association. This is a national level honor. They had to submit documentation about their counseling program and how well it aligns with the national model, and they are going to be recognized at a ceremony in Boston on July 1st. So congratulations to that team. They do a great job. And then next, Winnetka Elementary School is among the schools that will be sharing a $10,000 donation from Amazon that will benefit their robotics team. And the team participated in and won an award at the U.S. Open National VEX Robotic Championship, which was held in Iowa earlier this year. Thank you.
Trustee Blackburn.
Thank you for the District 5 report. In honor of Early College High School Week, we want to give a special shout out to the students and staff at LG Pinkston, Franklin D. Roosevelt, South Oak Cliff, and Wilma Hutchins P-Tech Collegiate Academies. We want to thank them for all the work that they're doing. I also want to give a shout out to at least two of our staff that are out there preaching the gospel about our pre-tech, and that's Usama Rogers and Miss Papadopoulos. Jeanette, how about that? Jeanette, you're doing a great job. So I want to thank you for putting the word out about Dallas ISD. I understand a lot of people are looking to Dallas ISD for how to start a P-Tech Collegiate Academy. I also want to congratulate the students at the School of Business and Management who are headed to New York to compete in the semifinals of the 2019 Euro Challenge at the Federal Reserve Bank. And I'm hoping that I'll get a chance to go as a chaperone. And also congratulations to the School of Science and Engineering team for taking first place in overall championship points at the recent UIL Region 1 academic competition. Also, the School for the Talented and Gifted computer science team advanced to the state competition, placing first place overall. We want to thank those students who've done a very good job and looking forward to even more coming out of them. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Blackburn. Trustee Foreman.
District 6, I just want to start out with a heartwarming thanks for this month when Justin F. Kimball High School cheerleaders and band members visited 6 feeder pattern elementary schools to motivate students to ace the STAR test. I often get excited when I see students encouraging other students to excel in education. I also want to commend Jimmy Tyler Brashear Elementary School for being one of 3 elementary schools to be recognized for high attendance rates this year. Great job, parents, faculty, and campus leaders. I can't get enough of celebrating Kimball High School's Destiny Miles, who made her mark by becoming the 3rd female state wrestling champion in Dallas ISD history. Again, Destiny, you're just a good example of a stellar student athlete that rise above the ranks in District 6. I'd also like to take this opportunity to thank Eve Williams of Decatur Engineering for the scholarships, the $15,000 in scholarships that went to Carter High School and South Oak Cliff. And also, this is just a time to thanks for all of the scholarships. I'd like to thank Education is Freedom for their scholarship program, particularly for the students going to Carter. And lastly, a reminder that the One Center at Kathleen Gillum Collegiate Academy is there to help parents enroll all of their children for the 2019-2020 school year. So we look forward to meeting all the parents there. Thank you.
Trustee Mitchell.
Thank you. This is the District 3 report. Congratulations to Emmett J. Conrad High School students Adrian Kelly and Rua Hag Hamadia Bade, first and second place recipients of the Junior League of Dallas's Women Lead Scholarship. Kudos to Bryan Adams High School's Clean Free-X team for coming in 3rd place at state and advancing to the global finals of the Destination Imagination tournament taking place in May. Again, we also want to celebrate the nationally recognized robotic team from Casa View Elementary School and also the nationally recognized robotics team from Alex Sanger Preparatory on their first place victories at the U.S. Open National VEX Robotics Championship in Iowa earlier this month. Thank you.
Trustee Solis.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Parents like Solar Prep's Bill Durham are shining examples of how each of us can positively impact public education in a variety of ways. Mr. Durham chose to show his support by donating a $10,000 scholarship to honor the school's assistant principal, Jennifer Turner, during Assistant Principals Week earlier this month. Mrs. Turner was chosen for being an incredible role model and inspiration to everyone in the school community. The scholarship will go to the school's 4th grade class in Ms. Turner's name. A big thanks also goes out to the more than 500 volunteers who spent their weekend installing new equipment and furniture, landscaping, and painting Alex Spence Middle School and Talented and Gifted Academy. The day of service, hosted with the Church of the Incarnation, brought $30,000 in upgrades and improvements to the campus. So thank you very much for all of your support. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Trustee Marshall.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll give the District 2 report. First, I want to congratulate the Woodrow Wilson girls junior soccer team that advanced to the 5A Region 2 and became by-district champs. Also, want to give a shout-out to the North Dallas Bulldogs that brought home an outstanding number of medals at the UIL District Academic Competition. They won 30 gold, 6 silver, and 6 bronze medals, and also 4 individual team championships and second-place overall team trophy. I want to thank the Belmont Addition Conservation District who gave Geneva Heights a new chicken coop. The Pre-G organization also provided new incubators and eggs of all various different chicken breeds, so I can't wait to see the little chicks. On April 3rd, the Woodrow Wilson RoboCats took state again and advanced to the World Championships in Houston, which they just competed in, so awesome job to the RoboCats. Also, on April 6th, after defeating Williams Prep, the North Dallas High School boys soccer team became the by-district champs and area champs. It's an amazing achievement. So great job to the boys soccer team there. Also want to congratulate 2 North Dallas High School students who won the Dedman Scholarship. Heath Wafer and Nancy Lee were both accepted to SMU and will attend with a full ride of tuition, room, and board. The Dedman Scholarship is only available to North Dallas graduates thanks to the Dedman family, so thank you to the Dedman Scholarship. Also, on April 15th, Woodrow Wilson's men Wildcat golfers took home 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th place in the city championships. And the lady golfers from Woodrow took home 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. So awesome work to the golfers there. Want to give a shout out to the North Dallas baseball team that became back-to-back district champions. So congrats to the players. Also, kudos to the Ben Franklin International Exploratory Academy for setting up its International Wax Museum, where the sights, sounds, and dances of countries across the world were all well represented. And lastly, if you're looking for plans this weekend, the Woodrow Wilson Performing Arts Department is staging their annual production. This one is Into the Woods this year. And I look forward to attending tomorrow night on Daddy-Daughter Date Night with my 11-year-old. So come join if you're free.
Thank you, Trustee Marshall. The District 1 report. So congratulations to the Jerry Junkins Elementary Schools for having exceptional attendance rates in the district's Strive for no more than 5 program. This achievement was celebrated with a visit from Six Flags characters recently, plus students will get a coupon to visit Six Flags in June. Also, Anne Frank Elementary School will be hosting its annual Cultural Diversity Night on Thursday, May 2nd, to celebrate students' countries of origin. Families at the campus come from more than 60 countries. The school's diversity committee is putting on the event, which will feature food performances, presentations, and a parade. And fortunately, I can just walk over from my house to Anne Frank to visit during the May 2nd event. I was honored to be able to participate in the superintendent's scholarship reception. It was a great event and lots of very happy recipients getting thousands of dollars in scholarships. So thank you to all the sponsors and folks who helped make that possible. Also, remind everybody that there's a Survey Monkey out about the budget that folks can chime in. I believe that's on the district website to chime in about the budget. District Budget Survey 2019 if folks want to look for that. And that is the District 1 report. So moving on to the next agenda item, 5.01, consider and take possible action to approve the minutes submitted for approval. Trustees, the following minutes have been submitted for approval. Board meeting March 28, 2019. Do I have a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion by Trustee Mitchke, second by Trustee Marshall. Moved and seconded for approval. Trustees, are there any corrections? If not, please cast your votes. Thank you, trustees. So now the next item are statutory items which may appropriately come to the attention of the board, and I was told that I needed to read this very carefully and make sure that I got every single word. At the last regular board meeting of the Board of Trustees, before an election of trustees, the current president of each local Board of Trustees shall announce the name of each board member who has completed their required continuing education, who has exceeded their required hours for continuing education, who is deficient in meeting the required continuing education as of the anniversary date of each board member's election or appointment to the board. The announcement shall state that completing the required continuing education is a basic obligation and expectation of any sitting board member under SBOE, State Board of Education rule. So the first one is, as of the date of this meeting, the following trustees have completed their required continuing education: Dan Mitchke, Joyce Foreman, Audrey Pinkerton, Lou Blackburn, Justin Henry, Dustin Marshall, and I have completed the training requirements. Trustee Solis has requested a waiver from TEA because he missed the team building activity we had at Joe May due to his daughter's illness. This was the month after she came home from the hospital, and so he has requested a waiver from TEA. Next, 6.02 board member ethics agreements. In accordance with board operating procedures, annually the board president is required to present a copy of the board member's ethics policy to each board member. Each board member shall be responsible for signing an agreement to abide by the ethics policy. You'll find at your seat a copy of the policy and the agreement form for your signature. Next, in accordance with BBD Legal, board members' training and orientation, the State Board of Education framework for governance leadership shall be distributed annually by the board president to all current board members and the superintendent. You'll find at your seat a copy of BBD Exhibit, Framework for School Board Development, and a signature page acknowledging receipt of the exhibit for your signature. Okay. Next item on the agenda, 6.04, conduct a board constraint self-evaluation in accordance with the TA Lone Star Governance Implementation Integrity Instrument. Dr. Lear, will you please lead us through the board's constraint self-evaluation?
Sure. Thank you, President Flores. This month's board self-evaluation or self-constraint is the board, either collectively or through the actions of individual trustees, shall not assume a supervisory role with students or staff. So if I could have each trustee complete your form that's in front of you, and Dino will come and collect those.
Thank you, Dr. Lear. So the next item on the agenda is consider and take possible action to conduct the 9th quarter self-evaluation in accordance with TA Lone Star Governance Implementation Integrity Instrument. Dr. Lear, what do we need to do here?
Sure. I'll just go through the amount of points that we've received for each section, and we only need the board president to sign this one. So if we start with Vision 1, we have a total of 12 points. Section 2, which is Vision 2, a total of 12 points. Vision 3, a total of 9 points. Vision 4, a total of 4 points. Accountability, total of 0 points. Accountability 2, 0. Structure, 0. Advocacy, 1. And unity, 10. And so there's a total of 48 points.
Okay, so just so that I'm clear, because the 12 is like over here. So really what we've done is we get 12 points because on Vision 1, for example, we meet focus.
Correct.
Just that our little sheet has the 12 over underneath
does
the
it?
begin focus. Sorry, just
yes.
making sure that what we're saying here is under,
it's at meets.
Right.
Meets focus.
So that's the case for Vision 1, Vision 2. We also meet focus in Vision 3. We meet focus in Vision 4. Then 0, 0, 0, 0, and then we have master focus on unity.
Correct.
Okay. So I have to take a motion on this? Trustees, do I have a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Marshall, second by Mitch K. Any questions about the Integrity Institute instrument? If not, please cast your votes.
The motion passes 7-0.
Okay, trustees, 6.06 was pulled, so then the next item is consent agenda items. Consider and take possible action to approve consent agenda items 7.01 through 7.52 as amended. We have consent agenda items 7.01 through 7.2 as amended. The following items have been pulled for a separate vote: 7.05, 7.10, 7.13, 7.23, 7.33, and 7.39. Items 7.02, 7.07, 7.08, and 7.09 have been pulled from the agenda. Trustees, are there any agenda items pulled for a separate vote that you would like to go back on the consent agenda item? Oh, return. Okay, so we are going to return to the consent agenda item 8.01, 8.02, and 8.05. So just so everybody's clear, so we're putting back on the consent agenda as 8.01, consider and take possible action to approve the tuition rate for early childhood. Back on the consent agenda, consider and take possible action to approve the 2020-2021 school calendar. And 5. And back on the consent agenda, consider and take possible action to authorize negotiate agreement various office supplies and services.
Mr. President, I move to approve the consent agenda as amended.
Second.
Okay, thank you, trustees. Please cast your vote. Are we okay?
Marshall? Okay.
Motion by Marshall, second by Mitchke.
Okay.
It was the other way around.
Who seconded?
Yeah, it was the other way around.
Sorry, motion by Mitchke, second by Marshall. My apologies.
Marcia and Mitchke. Okay. Justin Henry. The motion passes 8-0.
Thank you, trustees. The next item on the agenda is 8.06. Consider and take possible action to authorize the district to negotiate and enter into agreements with selected mechanical, electrical, and plumbing MEP technical design review service firms for the remaining projects of the 2015 bond program general operating special revenue bond funds. Consent item 7.39 pulled by trustees Joyce Foreman and Lou Blackburn. Do I have a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Mitch K. Second by Marshall. Trustees, any question?
Yes.
Trustee Foreman.
So, Scott, I guess the thing that concerns me is one of the things I asked for was a process on how you would select these vendors for each one of the projects, and I didn't get a real process. So, I'm just real concerned that without a process, a written process, an understanding of they're gonna, if there's a project that comes up, will they bid amongst themselves? Will you select specific ones that are geared towards certain competencies? I didn't get that in the response.
Okay, bless you. I apologize. I wasn't aware we didn't answer it the way we needed to. All 15 of these companies will specialize in various either mechanical, electrical, or plumbing. So as projects come up, we'll select the ones that are most appropriate, but we intend to spread the work out among
Well, see, that's
all
what's
of the.
scary. That's scary.
Yeah.
Got to have a process on how you're going to select. And I understand wanting to spread the work out, and I understand wanting to make it as simple as possible. But if you don't have a process in place, and God forbid something happens to you, then what happens? Yeah. We don't know what we do. We just select whoever's there. And that's not the best way to handle this kind of a situation.
Yes, ma'am. We'll evaluate them as they do work for us to determine whether or not they'll do future work for us as a part of the the process. We had 15 companies that submitted, so we selected them all. 10 of those are MWBE firms. So, and a lot of these companies we have not done work with in the past. So, as the projects come up, we'll make selections and go from there.
So, I will be voting against this one just because there's not a process in place on how these different companies will be selected. But I would strongly suggest that you get with your team and you look at putting a process in place so that there is no unfairness, everything is equalized, and we'll make sure that we're getting the right vendors.
Yes, ma'am.
Trustees, any other questions? If not, please cast your vote.
The motion passes 7 voting yes and 1 voting no.
Thank you, trustees. I believe we have a point of information. Mr. Superintendent.
Yes, Mr. President, members of the board, I'm sure that Jaime Resendez is sitting there watching our board meeting, and I wanted to thank him for his service. I thank the board for the current board. The last 3 years, we've made a lot of progress and got a lot of recognition, and it takes all of you with bringing the information to us. I also want to thank Ms. Pinkerton for being smart and always asking questions and caring. We didn't always agree on everything, but I think you made us better, so thank you for your service. And I don't know what's going to happen with runoffs and everything else, but also Dr. Blackburn has been with us for 18 years. All 10 of my years, Dr. Blackburn's had to put up with my twitching mustache, and he has done a great job for this community, and don't know what's going to happen, but there could be a runoff, so he could be back. But in case there's not, I get a lot of credit down at the Capitol because of y'all's great work, and I just wanted to thank you three publicly. Every time you add a new team member, it changes the dynamics of the team. We're going to have 3 new members no matter what happens. But the board deserves a lot of credit despite all the hard work and all the stuff we've done over the last 3 years. So I just wanted to publicly thank you for your service and good luck.
Okay, trustees, any other questions or items before the board? If not, it is 9:05 Apple Standard Time, and this meeting is adjourned.